Hello, everyone. I hope I am audible. Um, yeah. So my name is Innocent. Um, we're still waiting for the others to join, and we're gonna start at around 18:07. Hope that's okay for everyone. Sorry, I'm admitting. Uh, yeah. So hello, everyone who's joined here. Again, I am Innocent. In here we have Geoffrey. We have Bernard, Loveness, and Alpha. We are all current Mandela Rhodes Scholar. But once we start the presentation, we're going to get to know each other more. So just a disclaimer for everyone who's here. This is not the official Mandela Rhodes Scholarship session. We are just a group of scholars who decided to organize so as to help anyone who's interested with the Mandela Rhodes Scholarship. So 2 more minutes and we're going to start. Am I audible? So someone just raise a hand.
Good.
Yeah, thank you, Chaz. Thank you, Chaz. So 2 more minutes and we're going to start. I am just admitting people here. Okay. Also, one more thing. Are the slides visible? Anyone? Are the slides visible? They are written Mandela Rhodes application tips and hints. Thank you for there. Oh, okay. Thank you. So 1 more minute and we're gonna start. Just to wait so that everyone joins. Also, this meeting is recorded and I'm gonna, in the end of this presentation, I'm gonna share where we're gonna post this in a YouTube page. So if you didn't get a chance to completely listen to everything, I'm gonna share where we're gonna post this, and also I'm gonna share the link to everyone's email if you registered in our online Google form. So yeah, I think we can start now. Okay. So yeah, just again a disclaimer, this is not the official session, but we're a group of scholars who decided to give information to anyone who's interested to apply for the Mandela Rhodes Scholarship. Next slide, Geoffrey.
Okay.
Okay, so by the way, my name is Innocent. I am a student in the Faculty of Health Sciences, a first-year student at UCT, and I'm also a Mandela Rhodes Scholar for the year 2025. So what is Mandela Rhodes Scholarship? So Mandela Rhodes Scholarship is a prestigious scholarship it's offered to African students to pursue a 1-year honors and a 2 years master's at any field in a recognized South African university. So I just want to stress here a little bit because I saw questions. The first question someone asked was like, is it for specific causes? No, any causes, whether you want to do whether you want to study something in the Faculty of Health Sciences, filming, transport, tourism, any causes. It just has to be in a South African university. And also another condition is has to be a 1 year, whether it's a honors or a 2 years master's. Another question someone asked about the MEd programs. So yeah, the scholarship can fund you for your MEd programs, but then most of the MEds here, I believe they are 4 years or more. So maybe you'll get funding for the first 2 years and you have to sort yourself out for the other years. And also something else, the scholarship does not support the licensing examination. Whether you are practicing currently maybe in Kenya or some other country and you want to uh, do licensing exams in order to be able to practice and study here, the scholarship does not support that. So the next point is two things which this scholarship covers. First is the financial support, gives you tuition fees for the 1 year or 2 years course, accommodation fees, medical aid or insurance, um, allowances, you name it. So that's the first golden thing there, the financial support. The second thing is the leadership and development program. And to me personally, this is my favorite thing in this scholarship. And it definitely sets apart Mandela Rhodes Scholarship compared to other scholarship, because most scholarship they'll just give you funding and they'd care less about you, or I don't know. But Mandela Rhodes, there's this leadership and development program where you get chance to do workshops. It's delivered through weekly workshops touching areas in leadership and entrepreneurship, and it's as practical as it can get. So I will totally recommend. It's an amazing opportunity. So the core principles of the Mandela Rhodes Scholarship, there are four: leadership, education, entrepreneurship, and reconciliation. So these core principles are for the foundation itself, but then these are the things which the foundation usually looks on when you are applying for this scholarship. So I believe the other speakers will touch this in depth, but whether you are in an interview, whether you are writing your essays, you really have to find ways to touch these core areas. And it doesn't matter, you don't have to be the next Mandela. Any leadership which you uh, really counts. But I believe the other speakers are going to touch more in this area. So next, we are going to move to the next speaker. He is Geoffrey. He's going to introduce himself better. He's going to touch in the eligibility criteria and, do's and don'ts while you're thinking of applying to this scholarship. Welcome, Geoffrey.
Okay, thanks, Innocent. I hope I'm audible. Yes, as I've been introduced, my name is Geoffrey. I'm Geoffrey Amos, and uh, like Innocent, I'm a student at the Faculty of Health Sciences. I'm a first-year student of Masters of Public Health in the track of epidemiology and about statistics. So I'll start by saying we're all winners. So it's all winners squad. The fact that you've take time apart to join this session, I think that's a winning mentality. So for all of us who have joined this call, congratulations, you're all winners. And as I've been introduced, I'll talk about eligibility criteria and also part of do's and don'ts. So I'll start with the eligibility criteria, and the first thing that I'll start with is the four things. I'll say like the four pillars that Innocent of saying. So what this could be like a sort of a brand or things that Mandela Rhodes works with. So these are their values: it's leadership, entrepreneurship, reconciliation, and academic excellence. And as Innocent have highlighted, it doesn't mean that you have to be like the next Mandela, or you have been something who is a protege and is looking to go and be like the next Mandela. But what they're looking at is someone who have had these experiences of leadership, entrepreneurship, reconciliation, and academic excellence. And most of the times you'll find it like most of us have had these criteria while growing up and this doesn't start just in university, but since primary school, secondary school, in your community, amongst your friends, and throughout the journey. So they account for all these things, and also somebody who is planning to grow in these areas is eligible. So whether you've been showing a leadership, but you're also planning to grow in leadership. You have shown some elements of entrepreneurship, and you're also planning to grow in as an entrepreneur and other areas like reconciliation and academic excellence. And with academic excellence, it is not a must for you to have straight A's, but the cutoff point is the upper second in terms of GPA, or for those who are using other formats, it's 70% of pass marks, of which I believe most of you had this. The other thing is age. So anyone who is like 19 to 29, or technically we could say under 30, these are people who are eligible. So the age is 19 to 29 of age. The other thing is you have to be studying full time in South Africa, whether taking honors or masters, except for masters of business administration. So I think I saw some questions covering the issues of people who want to come and do the undergrads and people who want to come and do MBA. So I think the masters, I mean the postgrads, they cover Mandela Rhodes only funds postgrads and postgraduate studies. And in South Africa, they have something that they call it honors. So if you did like a 3 years degree and you're not eligible to some of the master's degree, you have to do the honors for you to go and do masters, or you're going to do a master's. And all these programs that Mandela covers, as the Innocent have said, they have to be 2 years or less. So it's less or equal to 2 years of study, because that's the time that will recover your studies. So if you're doing a master's of 1 year, it's fine. If you're doing a master's for 2 years, it's fine, because the funding period will end up with 2 years. Also, some of you probably are still in school. Maybe you're finishing school this year. Maybe you're finishing school around late in December, late in November, and you're thinking of applying for this scholarship. You will be eligible as long as you will be done with the undergrad by 1st of January in 2026. So you uh, can have some records that shows that you've been doing well, and you're eligible with academic criteria that they want you to have. And the other thing to consider is your application has to be within the application window, which is 17th of March to 21st of April 2025. So if you do your application within this time, this application window, and you have these qualifications, you're eligible. So you have an eligible criteria that will be subjected now to the competition. So as we go further, you will see like this presentation will be going like I think it will be going deep in terms of intensity, covering other areas that will distinguish you. Now you have known the eligibility criteria, you're eligible, you're a winner. So we'll cover other things that will help you maybe to stand out and to have a high possibility of winning this scholarship. So there are some documents to prepare. Some of the documents that you need to have, it's a passport. I mean, it's a passport. And the other thing is certificates and transcripts. Mostly it's academic certificates and transcripts as results of your academic academic journey. So if you have done, maybe you have done your undergrad, maybe you have done also your honors, or you have just done your undergrad, your A level and O level, you need to have these certificates and transcripts of results. Maybe you did diploma, and then you went for degree, so you will need to have certificates and transcripts to prove to them that you have done this. And the other thing is you need to have 3 recommendation letters, and these letters have to come from an institution, a person who is working in either academic area or professional institution. That means you have to use professional or institutional emails and not like Gmail and other stuff. I think this is a way clear in the portal. They will actually guide you through this. So as these days, as we're approaching the application window, you can start to gather these people, like whom do you think will help you with that? The other thing that you need to submit is two essays, which I think Loveness and Alpha will come and cover this well. And I think later in the year, you'll have to later as the application progress, you'll have to submit university application. Uh, and I think this comes after you have won the scholarship. You have to submit the proof of university admission, and also some universities want something that is called SAQA, which is uh, a certificate that takes your results from your home country and they put it in equivalent to their South African standards. And you might not be in a hurry to apply SAQA earlier because I think in our cohort they offer a help to pay for SAQA. So a little bit it's a little bit costful to apply on your own. So maybe if the university that you have applied doesn't require SAQA prior, you might wait a little bit and Mandela Rhodes might come in handy to help you with the application fees. But for your safety, you can also apply it earlier so as you will be eligible to be accepted in some of the universities. The other thing that you have to do is English. So all documents have to be in English. You have to submit them in English, and most of the courses in South Africa they'll be done in English. So it's a thing that you have just to orient yourself with. These are do's and don'ts. So this is not like a Bible or like a cheat code, or if I can tell you that these are what if you do this you'll get a scholarship. But these are just some things that the Mandela Rhodes Foundation environment and the Mandela Rhodes Foundation community really likes. It's authenticity, originality, and your position in your society. What are you going to offer in your society? You being pro your society, being a spark of change in your society, and how you see your society and Africa at large. It's one among the things that you should consider doing. And as the picture shows, authenticity and originality is very important because these people take their time to read these essays, to read to read all these writings, and to make sure that you are coherent with what you have written, and they do their interviews in person. So they see your gesture and everything. So it might be good to write what you have really experienced as an original concept with authenticity, coherent with you, but relating yourself with Africa. And I think becoming becoming presenters will cover this very well. Thank you, Innocent. I think I'm done with my part.
So thank you so much, Geoffrey, for that in-depth presentation. So just checking in for those who have joined recently, this session is recorded. It's okay if you're unable to join from the start, and I'm gonna post it on YouTube. You just have to search Edu Wezesha. It's a YouTube channel, and you're gonna get this recording. So next here, we're gonna have Brother Dr. Bernard, and Geoffrey has told us one of the four needed documents is the CV. So Bernard is gonna tell us in detail how to draft a good CV. Welcome, Bernard.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yeah, we're getting you, Brother Bernard.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. So as Innocent just said, my name is Bernard, and I am also a Mandela Rhodes Scholar 2024. So I basically come from Tanzania. My interests revolve around sexual reproductive health and HIV. I've been practicing in that area for a couple of years. And my contact details are on the presentation. If you have any questions or comments, or you need any follow-up, or you need any reviews, you can just check me on those. So next slide. So this presentation is basically about how to draft a CV. I think most of us are seen the document, so we know what a CV is, and we probably have used it and submitted it several times, sometimes successful, sometimes not so successful, but that's just life. But it's important if you know how to draft an effective one, because it also increases your chances of getting opportunities. And it's not only about the scholarship, but it can be about different life opportunities. So how to write an effective CV for scholarship applications. And we're going to go step by step. And yeah, next slide. So a CV basically means a course of life. So what you're doing is basically you are telling people what have you done in your life, but the focus is more on the academic side and also professional achievements. And it has multiple uses. So it can be for research opportunities, for scholarship, like what we're doing right now, for admissions to schools, or for jobs. But the most important thing to know is that a CV is a living document. So what people do often is that you just have like one CV and then you submit it to like 20 different applications. So life happens and things can be quite hectic for you to do edits every little time. But it's important for you to review your CV before you submit it somewhere, and to make edits here and there to cater it to what the application is asking for. So that's why we are saying it's a living document. And it's used for different purposes, as you can see in the presentation. So on the next slide, we are basically going to see the difference between a CV and a resume. So it's a very common thing that people ask, what are the differences? And where do you submit what? So the best way to know about this is to read the instructions on where you are submitting to, because they often have instructions that they need you submit either a CV or a resume. So it's the differences are basically on the length. So a resume is shorter and the CV is a bit longer, but a hybrid CV can be a bit flexible. So that's why I'm saying that it's important for you to understand what is needed for you. So sometimes you might have like a 5-page CV, but you're applying at a place that needs you to just have like a 3-page CV or a 2-page CV. So that means you have to modify it so that you pick the most important things that you think will fit a certain place that you're applying to. So the focus of the CV can be different from a resume. And it's also important to just read, because once you read the instructions, you will know what to do and how to modify it. That's why we are saying that it's a living document. Next slide. So the key sections of a CV. So these are, it's not like biblical, so it can change, but these are the important components that you have to have. So personal information is definitely compulsory, it has to be there. Education, it has to be there. But the ones that follow, they change. It's more flexible based on what is asked of you. So you can either include your research experiences. This is very applicable to like an academic kind of CV when you're applying for university or for research projects and that kind of thing. You also include your awards and your honors. So you also have to know how to basically brand yourself and how to sell yourself to someone who is reading your CV. So you also have to have your work and your volunteer experiences and very important things, and your skills, which can be technical, language, or computer skills. You can add them there. And also your membership. So some people have like a professional membership, which is something like, for those in like health sciences, you have like bodies, like the Medical Council of Tanganyika, you have like the International AIDS Society. So if you are a member in one of the institutes like that, you can also write in your CV and the times that you have been, how long have you been a member in that, or whether or not you're a present member or you're a past member. So those are like important sections of a CV that you have to have in mind. Going to the next slide, we have, like I said, so these two things are like necessary information, your contact and your education, because those are the things that, and the first things that any person who is reviewing your CV is looking for. So you have to make sure that those details are complete, like your name, your mailing address, your email, your phone number. So it should be in the first page. You can't put those things in the last page. And they also should have, like, if it's education, it should be the institute that you've went, the dates, the degrees that you've earned, and whether or not you completed it. Because sometimes you might find that you are applying for an opportunity while you are still a student. So you have to still have that portion that you expect to graduate maybe at this date. So those are the important considerations that you have to have when you are writing about your education. Then we go to the slide that talks about possible sections to include. So these are the ones that change depending on where you are applying for. So the awards, the certificates, the grants. So if you, the grant is also part of like the awards that you've received and the details that you have to write. So you don't just write you got this, but you also have to know how to write what you are writing. So this table basically summarizes, like, if you want to put a certain component, then what should you put under that component? So we also have your hobbies, your presentations, like if you've attended a conference, a seminar, a training, something like that, your professional membership, the projects that you've achieved, the publications, or the write-ups that you've done before, research experiences, work experiences, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of things that you have to note and to be flexible depending on where you are sending your CV. So moving on, so we have a certain mind map that you need to have when you are looking for a scholarship. And what you want to be is basically an ideal candidate. And how to be an ideal candidate is to integrate three things, as you can see from the Venn diagram here. So you have to show that you can do the job. You have to show that you fit with the team that you're applying for, and you have to show that you will do the job that you're applying for. So if you balance those things, it will make you an ideal candidate for whatever you're applying for. So the component of doing the job basically is because from your experiences and your skills and your capabilities, and will do the job basically involves things like your initiative and your eagerness, and you can have those components. They can be demonstrated when someone is reading your CV, and if you fit on the team. So your personal attributes, your overall impression. So if you balance all those three things, then you are likely to be an ideal candidate. So just important things on how to say those things is you have to use action words, and we will go briefly in the next slides, but you have to use action words. You have to, like, how this table is being displayed here. So it basically showed, I will take just one role for an example. So you supported something, or you cancelled a group of people, but you have to be very specific in how you describe what you've done. So supported and cancelled clients that were of ages maybe 7 to 14. And what was the impact? The impact was that it was during times of personal crisis, and you cancel them so that they become like better people and that kind of thing. So you have to have that way of writing. And when you are writing, it should be very short and very concise and very specific. And because sometimes people just skim through your CV, so you don't want it to be like very word heavy, but it can also vary depending on where you're submitting your CV to. And also you have to use third person language, so you avoid the use of first or second person language. So that's basically English. So you just have to stick to third person kind of description. So instead of saying like he or she did this or I did this, you use third language. So it's basically like what is written here. So supported the integration of mother to child prevention program at 7 clinics in Kilombero districts. So like that kind of thing. Going to the next slide. Formatting tips. So the way that you are supposed to write your achievements or places that you've been, your histories, should be like in reverse chronological order. So we start with the most recent experiences, whether it's education or jobs or publications or conferences that you attended. You start with the most recent, and then you go to the older one. The font and layout, so you have to make sure that you use fonts that are legible. Calibra and Times New Roman are like the commonest ones, but also the font size is also important. So 11 to 12 size, that's good for people of different visual capabilities. They can read that font. Also, your styling should be consistent throughout your CV, so you don't use Times New Roman on the first page and then Calibra on the second page. So if you choose a certain font, you have to stick with that. And also no personal information, because we know personal information can bring bias. So you don't need to write whether or not you are married, your religious affiliations, your photos. You don't need to have those things in your CV. So you basically stick to like your professional and your academic histories. Next slide. Yeah, common mistakes to avoid. So I've just highlighted a CV here that has things that are common. So it's human. It's not like because you can blame someone, but things happen. So it's very common for people to have those kind of errors in their CV. But what you need to understand is that it forms an impression. So it's important to try your best to make sure that you don't have like those kind of minor errors. So either it's too long or too short, so you have to read the instructions to make sure that you are there to what you are, where you're submitting to what they want. Also typos and grammar mistakes. I've read a couple of CV typos and grammatical mistakes I know, so you have to avoid that. And clear formatting, and also not tailoring it to each application. So you can submit the same CV to 7 different applications because they are all probably looking for different things. So you have to do modifications here and there. So like if you look at this screen, there's like too much bolding here. You don't need to do too much bolding. So if you choose to bold, you have to bold very specific things that you want them to be observed, but not too much to make the document look like the whole document has been bolded. Also here we have inconsistent formatting. If you look at the dates, some places they have used short forms like SEP for September, while some places they use the long form like the entire February naming. So you have to make sure that you don't do such kind of thing. And also phrasing, you can't write etc. You have to write like complete sentences and complete things you've done, and so on and so forth. You cannot use those words in your CV. So those are the common things that you have to look for when you are writing your CV. We can go to the next slide. So after all is said and done, the most important times is just before you go for submission. So you have to be very careful with what you've written. So it's important for you to proofread it and to ask for feedback. We all have friends, we have partners, we have mentors, professors. So you can just ask for feedback to like, I don't know, 2 or 3 people so that they can also look at your CV. And you have to make sure that you do that. You give yourself enough time for that, because you cannot just ask someone today and you expect to get feedback tomorrow, because the deadline of submission is the day after tomorrow. So you have to make sure that you create time for the person who's going to review your CV so that they can have enough time to give feedback. And saving format, most applications require it to be PDF, but it can also be a Word document. So that goes back to reading the instructions of where you're submitting your application, your CV to, and following the guidelines. So some people, if they want you to write 2 pages, if you submit 3 pages, they won't read the 3rd page. And if what they want is in the 3rd page, you've basically missed an opportunity because of that. So it's very important for you to read the guidelines of where you're submitting to. And then you just submit, and good luck. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Bernard. That was an amazing presentation. So next up, we're gonna have Dr. Loveness. She's gonna touch on the writing your motivational or personal statement, since it's also one of the documents that's needed for this scholarship application. So, but before we go on, if you've joined in between, it's okay. I'm gonna send this recording and I'm gonna also upload it in a YouTube channel, which I'll also send if you are registered in the Google form. I'm gonna send it to everyone. So welcome, Dr. Loveness.
Thank you, Innocent. I hope I am audible.
You are.
Okay. My name is Dr. Loveness. I am a Mandela Scholar, and currently I'm doing my master's and MPH at the University of Cape Town, South Africa. I'll be talking about writing a motivational statement, and it's like adding up to what Bernard has explained. You have a CV where you keep your educational background, your experiences, your volunteering activities. But now in a motivation statement, it's like you're trying to explain more of what you have done in detail, so as to motivate those who are like reviewing your application of the reason to why they should recruit you, either it's a work opportunity, it's a scholarship opportunity. So I'll be speaking up to things you should consider in any application, not necessarily a scholarship. So there are synonyms for motivation statements, such as the motivation letter. Some people can call it statement of purpose. Some people can call it cover letter, but it all entails the same thing. Next slide. So actually, what are the context of a motivation statement? So in a motivation statement, you are actually explaining why you are the best candidate for that particular opportunity, and you explain your skills, experiences, opportunities in details. So like you're trying to motivate on why you're the best candidate, because CV is a very short summarized form of your work experience, but now you're trying to like brand yourself and explain into details. And also you're going to explain your passion of why you want that particular field or particular scholarship or particular job opportunity. Next slide. Next slide, Innocent. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about a STAR approach. This is a widely used way where it's recommended for like guiding you during your application or during preparing your motivation statement. So the STAR approach has 4 components. The T, it's a task, action, and the results. So I'll start with the situation. Innocent will go in the next slide. Yeah, so for example, you want to explain about maybe leadership experience that you had. And leadership, we know it's not necessary for you to be elected in a particular organization, but you can show your leadership skills even at home, in your friends, in school, or within your team members. So when you're trying to explain your leadership experience, you can't just say, I was a leader in this place, and I did this, and this, and this, but you need to start with a way that it will motivate or it will attract those people to see the impact that you made. So for the situation, you're trying to explain a challenge or a background that you faced in that particular instance in your life. Let's say you are in a university student, maybe you are the class representative, and maybe there's a certain challenge that your fellow students were facing. So trying to explain like a short background of that problem that you tried to solve, so as your leadership skills can be depicted in the motivation statement. So for example, you can say maybe, while working in this project, we are facing challenges to reach out to more participants or customers. So you're trying to make the reader know, okay, there's this challenge that these people are facing in this particular organization or in this particular project. So as they can know what you did to solve this particular situation. Innocent, next slide. So after explaining a bit background of the situation, you can now say what was your role. Maybe you can say, okay, in the team member, I was the team lead in the team, and I was supposed to solve this challenge. Like, what are the objective of you being there in that particular team? So for example, you can say, oh, here you can also explain why that problem was being faced by those people who you are trying to address. So for example, you can say, the community members were not coming to receive the intervention because they had this, or maybe they had least information. So you're trying to explain what was the gap that led to that particular situation, or what was the problem that led to the situation that you explained prior. So as to like give people like a background of what you're trying to explain in this particular aspect, either it's a leadership or it's a work experience or it's a volunteering experience. Next. So after explaining the situation that you are facing and the little background in your role in that situation, now you can explain the action taken. In this area, you need to keep more focus because people are more interested to see how innovative were you, or what are the tactics or what are the steps you took so as to solve the particular challenge. So you can say, and this is the area now you can show your skills, your ideas, like what differentiates you with other team members in that particular project. So maybe you can say, after facing these challenges, I developed a seamless reminder system where maybe clients were reminded to come to the clinic, or whereby customers were reminded to come to take the service. So it's like showing you went further to think of a possible intervention that could help to solve the challenge. Next. So after explaining in details what you did, now you're going to explain what are the impacts of that thing that you did. And mostly in the result part, we prefer to quantify the result if you can quantify. For example, if you developed a seamless reminder system to recruit clients to come in your office, you need to say maybe after this approach or after this strategy, we're able to reach more than 500 customers per month or per week or per year, so as it can show, like, if you quantify something, it sounds more feasible for someone to understand what you actually change in that particular organization, or it's a work, or it's in your school, or it's in your family, so that they can appreciate the impact of your intervention or action. Next. This is just what I've added apart from the STAR approach. You can add the benefits, like after doing this intervention, what were the benefits that you had? It can be your personal benefit or the benefit that it had to the company or in a family or in a team that you're working with. So it can be in terms, personal could be like a leadership, you gain leadership experience, or you improve their management skills, or you formed more connection. For example, while working in that project, you were able to connect to this, and this, who later were able to help you in a particular thing in life. So it's like showing not only you were making an impact, but also you gained more skills or you gained more advantage during your participation in that particular solution. Next. So important things to note is when you're starting to write a motivation statement, you need to start early, immediately as you see a call for application, or even before, if you know some of the questions that will be asked. Start early, and the best way is to think of what you want to write. In writing motivation statement, you need to be specific, because you may have maybe 10 volunteering experiences that you have done, or maybe 10 leadership experiences, but now you need to focus on few of them and explain them in details, because if you explain a lot of things, it will lead to disorganized motivational statement. So you need to explain clearly what are the leadership experiences, or what are the volunteering experience or work experience that aligns with the call. And you can just think what you want to include in terms of your flow of ideas and how you're going to go about that particular motivation statement. Then after preparing the first draft, you need to refine it and send to your friends, colleagues, so they can review, and not necessarily people who are in your same background or the same field. You can send to people who are different from your field, because most of the applications for the motivation statement are assessed by people who are not necessarily in the same field that you are in. So it's important to send to diverse people to get different comments. Then you should also conduct some of the prior research or readings. Sometimes some of motivation statements needs to be more innovative. So you can try, if you're trying to explain about HIV incidence in Tanzania and how maybe you are trying to like be a part of academic curriculum so as you can solve it, you need to know the short background of HIV in Tanzania so as you can know what you're going to include in a motivation statement. Yeah, so writing is an art. You need to start with captivating statement, opening statement that will attract the reader to keep on reading your essay. So this is very short, and in case you have any more questions, you're welcome to consult us, and we are going to help you in like getting you to write your motivation statement. Asanteni sana. Thank you, Mercy, for those who are French speaking. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Loveness. So just before we move to the next speaker, who is Alpha Teresia, if you have any questions, because we are going to have a short question and answer session right before we finish this session, this online session. So just type it in the messages area, and also in there I have posted a WhatsApp group of an opportunities group where we all of us get a chance to share any opportunity we have, whether scholarship, work, fellowship, or grants opportunities, regardless of our fields. Yeah, so welcome Alpha. Alpha is gonna talk about the polarizing essay. It's a requirement for the Mandela Rhodes Scholarship application for you to write an essay about a polarizing issue. I know that seems like a very technical term, but Alpha is going to break it down. Karibu, Alpha.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Innocent. Good evening, everyone. I am Alpha Teresia Mosangama. I am a medical doctor from Tanzania. I am currently doing my Masters of Science in Epidemiology and Biostatistics at the University of Cape Town. I am MRF Scholar year 2024. I'll be taking you through polarizing issue, its definition, what to write, and how to write. So polarizing issue, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is any issue that causes a division into two sharply distinct opposing groups where opinions or beliefs become concentrated at opposing extremes. So in a simple sentence, polarizing issue is anything that is dividing your community into two distinct groups. And what to write, like how to identify a topic that is discussing a polarizing issue in your community. Next slide. Geoffrey, next slide. Okay, I don't know what's happening on the other side, but first, the first thing, you need to understand the topic. You need to know what you are going to discuss. I always say you need to think before you write anything. And you just don't wake up in the morning and start typing on your laptop. You need to wake up to think what you're going to write. You need to know what is going to be in the introduction, what is going to be the second paragraph, what is going to be in your conclusion before even you hold your pen. So I always say use your brain before you touch the keyboard. You need to search for a polarizing issue, and you can do this in two ways. First, you can think of any burning issue in your community that is dividing your community into two separate groups. Or you can think of a topic or any issue that has been there for quite some time. It is affecting your community. And where are you getting this information from? You can get to know about the polarizing issue from your own experience. You can ask people around. You can talk about issues that are affecting your community, issues that you have experienced or your people have experienced. So you can get information about this issue from the internet. You can Google, you can go through literatures, you can consult your mentors, and you can discuss about any issue that is happening in your community and is dividing your community into two opposing groups. After getting to know what is happening in your community, you need to choose one topic. I always recommend choosing an easy to write topics, because applying for a scholarship is like a competition. There are so many of you who are going to write essays, who are going to apply for this scholarship. So if you choose a very hard topic or a topic that is not explicitly polarizing, you are going to spend maybe a whole paragraph trying to convince your readers that this is a polarizing issue, something which is going to waste your time and is going to make your readers tired. Like if I am reading your essay and you are forcing me to understand that this issue is polarizing, and you have written 10 sentences explaining how this issue is polarizing, I will get tired and probably I won't even finish reading your essay. So choose a topic which is easy to write about. And these polarizing issues are not limited to issues that are happening at a national level. Like, you can write issues that are happening in your community, maybe in your village, or maybe something that happened when you were in undergrad, or something that happened when you were in high school, or something that is happening in your district, or something that is happening at a national level. It just have to be a burning issue that is dividing your community into two different groups. After identifying one topic, you go again and research. You do you search again, but this time you need to be focused. Like, you already have a topic, a title. Maybe you are discussing about COVID-19, or maybe you are discussing about DP World contract. Now you know what you are going to write about. So this time when you are searching, you need to dive deeper into your topic. What you are looking for this time is, why is this issue polarizing? Like, what happened that led to your people in the community divided into two groups? Like, what are their standing points? Maybe you can get this information by asking your colleagues or your friends or your mentors. Like, you present your idea to them, or you present this question to them. Like, how do you see how COVID-19 vaccines were handled in this country? Or maybe you ask them, are you okay with being vaccinated against COVID-19? Then you hear their responses. You hear their opinions. If they are against the issue, you ask them, like, why are you against the issue? That's how you're going to gather information to write in your essay. Like, because if you're explaining a polarizing issue, you need to explain with facts, or with well-written explanation. You need to be very focused, and you need to, like, you don't just write something that is not well understood. If you are saying 80% of people were against COVID-19 vaccine, you should at least highlight what were the reasons they were standing for. Maybe you say those who were against the COVID-19 vaccine, they said the vaccine is related to mental issues. Maybe the vaccine causes psychiatric disorders. So that's how you are going to get information to write about in your essay. After identifying your topic, after researching again about your topic, then you move to the next step of writing. Now you know what you're going to write. You know the topic. You know what is going to be in your introduction. You know how you're going to arrange your paragraphs, and you know what is going to be in your conclusion. Then you start writing. I usually say writing is an art. Like, we know the basic structure of any essay. Any essay has to have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. But how you arrange your ideas, or how you convince your readers to understand what you are writing, is always an art. It depends on how you select words, as in choice of words, language use, your experience in writing. It takes a lot to write a very good essay. But at the end of the day, what matters is try to make your readers understand what message you want to convey. Like, if you are narrating a certain story, you need to go in a certain order that links up your ideas from the beginning to the end. We don't want to read essays that are discussing about A, and then you skip to F, then you go back to B, then you go to C, then you go to Z, then you go to X. No. If you're writing your essay, make sure your ideas are in a very good flow. If someone reads your essay, he or she should get to understand what you are discussing, and should enjoy reading your essays. Yeah. Geoffrey, can you please go to the yes. Okay, so I was discussing how to write your essay. As I said, the basic structure is the introduction, body, and conclusion. I usually, from my experience, I usually write problem statement in the introduction part. When I say problem statement, what I mean is you need to describe the situation, like what's happening. Like if you are discussing about, let's say, a DP World contract in Tanzania, I don't know how many people are coming from Tanzania, but if you are coming from Tanzania, I'm pretty sure you understand when I say about DP World contract. Okay, if I am to give a summary, okay, thank you for projecting this slide. So if I am describing the situation, I can start maybe by saying the Tanzanian government failed to manage the Dar es Salaam multipurpose port effectively, leading to cargo release delays, widespread corruption, and minimal profits. The government decided to transfer control of the port to the DP World. DP World, these are investors from Dubai, believing that the company would manage it effectively. In 2023, the parliament informed citizens about the decisions and requested that they provide their opinions before making the final decisions. This issue divided Tanzanians into two groups. Some wanted the contract signed, while others opposed it. So you can see, even if someone who is reading your essay is coming from South Africa, or is coming from Zimbabwe, or is coming from Ghana, gets to understand what was happening before the polarizing happened. That's what you write in your introduction. Okay, please go back to the previous slide. Okay, the next thing, after describing the situation or after stating the problem, you need to explicitly describe the two sides in your community. Like, as we said, the polarizing issue is any issue that is dividing your community into two groups. So you need to tell us what are the groups that you are discussing about. As I gave an example of the DP World contract, I said the issue was the parliament, the government decided to hand over the port to the DP World investors. And the parliament was requesting Tanzanians to provide their opinions about if they should sign the contract or not. So Tanzanians were divided into two main groups. There are people who wanted the contract signed, and there are people who were against the contract. Those are the two groups that emerged after the issue of DP World contract. Then after identifying the two groups, you need to tell us, like, what were the standing points in each group? Like, those who were against the contract, what were the reasons for them to be against the contract? Those who wanted the contract signed, what were the reasons for their, like, what were the reasons for them to be against the signing of the contract? I hope you are getting what I'm saying. And where are you getting this information from? I already talked about it. You can ask your colleagues, you can go through the internet, you Google, you can go through literatures for some topics. You will find a lot of literatures, a lot of published articles which are discussing the issue. So you go, you read the articles, you read information from the internet, and some information you can get them from social media platforms. Like, there, if it happens that there is any burning issue, social medias like Twitter, a lot of people tend to like to comment, to provide their opinions, their views. So you can go through social media to try to understand, why are people against this contract? Why are people against COVID-19 vaccine? That's where you're going to get the answers from. So after explaining the two groups, after explaining the reasons why a certain group of people agrees with the contract, why a certain group of people is against the contract, you then tell us the impact of the polarizing issue. Like, after having the two groups, what is happening? What is the, like, what are the final results of this conflicts between the two groups? That will be the information you are supposed to keep in the body part of your essay. Then in the conclusion, you need to tell us what you think should have been done and why. Like, from your point of view, you have told us about group A and group B. You have told us why group A want the contract and why group B doesn't want the contract. In the conclusion part, you tell us, where do you stand? Do you think it was worthy signing the contract or not? And why are you saying so? Like, you can say, maybe from my point of view, it was important to have this contract signed because maybe the government, since the government was failing in controlling the port, we needed someone from outside Tanzania who will take full control of the port. And maybe you can talk about what should have been done so that the decision made, like, how should I say? You tell us what should have been done to prevent this issue from becoming a polarizing issue. Like, maybe before deciding, before asking people to vote whether to sign the contract or not, maybe the parliament was supposed to discuss what is in the contract with its citizens. Like, maybe the contract was in English language, and Tanzanians do not understand English. So maybe the parliament was supposed to translate the contract into Kiswahili language and let people read the whole contract and get to understand what was in the contract. Maybe this would have prevented people from being divided into two groups. So in the conclusion part, you tell us what you think should have been done and why. So I think after the conclusion part, your essay will be ready. And to just remind you, a polarizing issue requires you, MRF requires you to write a polarizing issue in not more than 800 words. And after having your first draft, you need to read your essay and read it again and reread and reread and read it and read it again. Once you read, you'll always get some things that you need to work on. Like, you need to read and refine, read and refine, read and refine. Then give it to your colleagues who can help you review your essays, who can help you understand where you have gone wrong, or the points you are missing out, or maybe the information that is wrong. They can help you correct your grammar. They can help you correct your vocabularies and sort of things. Then one more thing that I would like to urge you, please be receptive to negative feedback. Like, if you give me your essay to review and I find it maybe it's very primitive, I will always give you a lot of feedback, of negative feedback. So don't take things personal. And Bill Wheeler says good writing is clear thinking made visible. If you cannot think clearly, then you cannot write. That's why I say you think before you write. And thank you so much. And I wish you all the best.
Oh, thank you so much, Alpha Teresia, for a very nice presentation. So yeah, we're gonna have a short question and answer session. Some people have posted their questions in the chat, so we're gonna pass through them shortly. So someone asked, what if you secure MRF scholarship and failed to get admission? So Loveness, can you please, Loveness answered this in the chat, but can you please reiterate what you just wrote in the chat? And also answer the next question: which other universities apart from UCT supports the MRF scholarship? Loveness.
Okay, Innocent, I think I've responded to the questions in the chat. We can proceed with the questions that were shared in the Google link. Then people can review. If they need further clarification, we can now explain in detail. But I'm trying to respond in the chat, then you can continue with the ones shared in the Google link.
Okay, no problem. So if you need answers in those questions, just go in the chat. So just before I go to the questions which were shared in the Google link, anyone who has a question who wants to ask here, just raise your hand and you can unmute and ask. Anyone? Okay. Okay, welcome, Charles. Charles, yeah, you can go on.
Okay, mimi nilikuwa nauliza baada ya muda gani ukishakagua scholarship za MRS unaweza ukasubiri na kujua kwamba unaweza kuapply kwa University of India?
Okay, so Charles, I'm gonna translate that for people who don't get Swahili. So Charles was asking, after how long after submitting your application you're gonna expect to apply for the university, or I think he also wants to know when do you expect to get feedback from MRF. Yeah, so Charles, there are usually 3 phases of feedback from MRF. So the first one, so the application deadline is to apply, it's around April. I think around May, you'd get your first reply, whether you have passed the first phase. And around June, you'll also get another feedback that you've passed in the second phase. And now the third phase, they'll tell you whether you have passed to go to the oral interview, which will be in person in Cape Town. So they will fly you wherever you are to Cape Town for an oral interview. And the next part of your question was, so when do you expect to apply for the university? I believe you should start applying for your university as early as possible, because, you know, to be honest, we had scholars this year in our cohort who got the scholarship but didn't get admissions, and unfortunately they lost their scholarships, and they were a couple of them. So it's very important for you to secure an admission, because, you know, some of us believe when you have a scholarship, either way you'll get admission, but sometimes it might be really hard and you might lose your scholarship. So yeah, that's it. Anyone else with a question before so someone else was trying to unmute and ask a question. Oh, welcome, Emmanuel. Emmanuel Alexander. Welcome, you can unmute, Emmanuel. Let me try. Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
The thing which I was trying to ask is that if you have ever applied for this, are you getting me?
Yeah, we are getting you. Go on.
Yes. For example, if you applied last year and we didn't secure to have that chance, so can somebody apply for the next time?
Yeah, Alpha Teresia, do you wanna answer that?
Okay, may please come again?
So he's asking if you have already applied for the scholarship in a previous round and you didn't get in, can you apply for it again? And you know, what are the tips if you're applying again?
Oh, yes, as long as you are still eligible, you can apply again for the scholarship. And it depends on at which stage you were rejected. If you manage to navigate up to the interview stage, like if you are rejected after the interview stage, then you need to work on how you responded to the interview questions. But maybe if you are rejected in the first round of selection or second or third, then maybe you need to improve your writing skills. Maybe you need to consult people who can help you write a very winning essay.
Yes, yeah. I hope Emmanuel is satisfied. Anyone else with a question?
I have another question.
Oh, welcome, Charles.
I was asking for someone who has managed to pass through the next stages. I think from the previous selection, maybe he or she will be at the second round. So when he or she wanted to apply for the next year, so is she going to submit the same essay, or he or she is going to write another essay so that can be submitted?
Okay, I recommend that you write new essays. Even if you're writing about the same idea, please write a new essay.
Okay, Charles, I hope you understand that. So it's important to write a new essay. So I have a question here from the Google form, and it's written, is it possible to apply for the Mandela Rhodes Scholarship if you are a diploma holder? So for a diploma holder, is it possible to apply for the Mandela Rhodes Scholarship? Bernard or Alpha or anyone, can you please help us with that?
I think if you are following the order of education level, that means from diploma you are applying for undergraduate studies, which unfortunately MRF doesn't fund. MRF funds postgraduate studies. By postgraduate studies, I mean honors degrees or master's degrees for a maximum of 2 years.
Okay, thank you. So I have another question. It says here, I have not completed my degree yet. What documents do I need to confirm that I will finish this year?
Okay, nice question. There are a lot of people who applied when they were still in undergrad. What you need to submit, I think it's a transcript. Yes, transcript, your essay, and your 2 essays, transcript, and your CV. And you can get your transcript from your school, your university administration. Like you get your transcript from the year you are in, from when you were in your first year to the year you are in.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Alpha. So there's also a question in the chat asking, is there any English proficiency test required? Segeza, you wanna answer that? Is there any English proficiency test required?
Okay, so yes, thank you. I think this is a very nice question. There is no any English proficiency test that is required specifically for Mandela Rhodes Foundation scholarship, And I think the other thing that if you have followed up this whole presentation, you know that Mandela Rhodes Scholarship is it's a different entity. It's a university of application. So most of the for Mandela Rhodes scholarship, if your essays are in English and your CV in English, that is the English that is enough to get you through. But with universities, I've not explored all the universities and how they relate with other countries. So if it's specifically University A, B, they might ask you for an English proficiency test, but most of the universities don't ask for that. But for Mandela Rhodes scholarship, they don't ask for any English proficiency test. I hope that is clear enough.
Yeah, thank you. So anyone else with a question? I am looking here for the questions which we didn't cover. Anyone with a question, you can just unmute. So we have 10 more minutes before we end this session. If you have a question, you can just raise your hand or directly unmute. So let me see for the questions which you haven't covered.
I saw someone raising his hand. Lukman.
Oh, okay.
Emmanuel.
Oh, Emmanuel, welcome.
Okay, thank you again. Are you getting me?
Yeah, we are. Go on, Emmanuel.
Yes. The presentation was nice, but one thing I have to ask you. We have been told about the racism in South Africa. So by the time you are there, you have some of the experience of living there. How is that?
Oh, okay. Racism. Anyone who wants to answer that, please. Alpha, Bernard, Loveness, or Sigiza.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for a very interesting question. So far, I have never experienced any racism issue. I understand that people are discussing about it a lot, but personally, I have never experienced, and I am 95% sure people around me have never experienced. One thing I can say is once you come here, you need to mind your own business. Like these are okay. I am like, I don't know if I will sound harsh or not, but once you come here, please concentrate to what brought you here. That's what I can say.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Actually,
Welcome, Sigiza.
I have few months in here, and I think I might not be the best person to talk about it. Yeah, from people that I've met here, and most of the South African universities are like international, so a lot of other international students, of mixed up culture, and that is not quite a common thing in the academic space, especially for international students. The experience might vary from an individual, but I think pursuing your career, some things might raise that like barriers. You have to understand the ways to navigate around them. So from the experience, I haven't found someone who the system that is enough to hinder his ways to or her ways towards reaching their goals. So looks like no.
Okay, thank you so much, Geoffrey. So, Lukman, welcome. You can just unmute and throw your question out. Lukman, I saw you raising your hand. Okay, so if you have a question, you can. Yeah, welcome, Lukman.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, thank you for the chance to speak. Yeah, I was longing for this session, but unfortunately, I joined in lately, so I actually don't have a question. Yeah, I would like to plead if the slides presented in this session could be shared in the groups named opportunities. Yeah, I'll appreciate actually. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lukman. Don't you worry. We were really thinking of people like you. So I'm gonna share this whole meeting is recorded, and I'm gonna share it in the group, in the emails of anyone who registered in the online form, and I'm also gonna post it in the YouTube channel. So don't you worry. Also, hello. Yes.
I just said thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So I was looking in the questions. One person asked, are there any costs incurred during this application process? No. Yeah. So
Okay,
yeah. Welcome.
yeah. Can I clarify more on that?
Sure.
Applying for the scholarship is free, but applying for admission, I think, is not. You'll have to pay for.
Oh, yeah.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
yeah, there is an application fee in the universities because you are applying for the scholarship separately from your university application.
Oh yeah, thank you for clarifying that, Fatirisha. Yeah, the application fee, you can request for a waiver, but just just for safety, and the fee is usually not that expensive. But also another cost which you might incur is the SACA. So basically, the SACA is a way of South African university to translate the results of wherever you graduated into their own standards, I would say. So UCT does not require a SACA, but most of the other university needs a SACA, and you might need to apply for that. Yeah, we have probably touched all of these questions. So one person asked for PhD. So I think we'll have another session for PhD in the future. And also one person asked for undergraduate. We are going to have a session for undergraduate opportunities here in South Africa, Mastercard scholarship, and also in ALU, the university in Madagascar and Mauritius and Rwanda, but that will be in the future and we will post in the group. I think we have touched.
I think Sospita, yeah. Sospita was raising his hand.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I want to ask a question here. I've seen some news that this MRF scholarship is going to be opened on 17th of this March, but when is the admission window for university is going to be opened? That was my question.
Oh, thank you, Sospita. Anyone who wants to answer that? Go on, just unmute and answer.
Hi, Sospita. So the university applications and the scholarship are separate things. So we'll apply each one of them separately. And most of the times, university application starts around April to June, July. So you just need to know what university you want to apply. For example, if it's UCT or WIT or University of Johannesburg, then you just go into in their website and look for the previous year the application started in which month. Then you can now try to check during their website around April, May to June. That's when the applications are open for the universities. So you may find yourself applying the university after submitting your scholarship application or during the end of scholarship application.
And
okay,
also, I would like
welcome.
to add something on what Loveness has said. pay attention to the deadlines, because in some universities they have separate deadlines for international students and local students. For instance, when we were applying, UCT had a deadline of June, I think end of June for international students, and September to October for local students. So to be on a safe side, get to know what is the deadline for international students.
Oh, thank you for that clarification, Alpha. Oh,
Innocent, if I could add something here. In the Mandela Rhodes website, the Mandela Rhodes Foundation website, there are a list of universities that they recognize in South Africa. I know you might have known some of the universities from friends or from research, but if you're struggling to know what are the universities in South Africa, maybe not just only the top 10, you can go through the website, the Mandela Rhodes Foundation website, and that can help you to know what kind of universities for you to search and to look into their things. And considering what Alpha has said, observing the international students' deadlines of application. Thanks.
yeah. Loveness.
Okay, I wanted to add that MRF will be hosting information seminar or meeting about the MRF application. So I recommend that you pass through the MRF social media handles, LinkedIn or Instagram. They have posted the day for the online session and the link. So you can ask more questions, and I think they'll respond more in their aspect, because they're the ones who are funding. So please don't forget to join the information session conducted by the MRF.
Okay, thank you, Loveness. So 2 more questions. We had, we are way past time. So we had people asking, is it partially or fully funded? It is fully funded. And another person asked in the Google form, is it on-site or online? Unfortunately, it's on-site. So you have to come and do your study physically here. And also, Charles, you are asking any other scholarship options apart from our MRF? Yes. So there's the MasterCard scholarship, which funds studies in UWC and University of Pretoria. I think we will have a session for the MasterCard scholarship next month. We are gonna post that in the group and in the social medias. We are going to have a session like this for the MasterCard scholarship. So you are very welcome, Charles. It's understandable because really the chances might be limited, but the more options you have, the better. So, so I'm going to take 2 final questions and that's it. 2 final questions. Anyone? Also, I think we have covered everything from the Google form.
I have seen someone raising her hand. Chamhoa, somebody Chamhoa.
Okay, while they're still unmuting, most of people are also asking about interview tips. I think we might have a session specifically for the interviews, because I don't think we will be able to cover everything today. We might have a session now, because I know most of us struggle to prepare for oral interviews, and since it's in a very, very different environment, you might be scared. And I think we will have a session for that in the future, hopefully.
They are conducting a physical interview, like you will travel from where you are to South Africa for the interviews.
Thank you for clarifying, Alpha. Yeah, okay, so I am not seeing any raised hand. Oh, thank you so much, Charles. I am not seeing any raised hands, so I'm gonna end this session. Thank you so much for everyone who joined. Please, I have pinned the group link in the chat box. If you joined late, just join that group. I will post the slides, the meeting recording, but we will also send this recording to everyone who registered to the online form. And all the best. And we wish you all the best. And you can also check any of us in here if you need assistance, and we will be willing to help. So, ciao, goodbye, Jioni njema. Have a good evening, afternoon, or night from wherever you're joining from. Bye bye. Manage recording.